New York's new mayor, Eric Adams, is defending his coronavirus response policies. He wants schools to be in session for in-person classes, something that I don't necessarily disagree with. I want to be clear about that. But he is also demanding that individuals who are able to work remotely are forced back into the office. Why? Well, I'll give you some of the ridiculous answers coming from conservatives that make absolutely no sense. But first, let's hear from Eric Adams himself, who got a lot of heat for this statement during his press conference.
If my businesses are sharing with their employees, you are part of the ecosystem of this city. My low-skilled workers, my cooks, my dishwashers, my messengers, my shoe shine people, those who work in Dunkin Donuts, they don't have the academic skills to sit in a corner office. They need this. We are in this together.
So John, he got a lot of backlash for the way that he referred to workers in the service industry. It came across as, look, honestly, I don't really care too much about like language policing or whatever, but politics, like the heart of politics, the whole reason why you do press conferences to defend your policies is messaging. So if you're going to message to the people of New York, you gotta be precise and a little better with the words that you use, right? Just purely for political reasons, you want to be a little smarter than that. But what do you think about the way that he phrased, service industry workers?
Yeah, I don't necessarily have the same problem as you with language policing, and we're critiquing a speech. That's the only type of policing you can do, so I'm fine with it. You could, like if I wanted to make that case, you could make that same exact case in a non-condescending fashion, saying, some of the, like, you would have to believe that there's a world where the media apparatus, generally, which is filled with people with a lot of money, want to keep remote work going, which is not what we're seeing in terms of cable news and everything. But if that was the case, then you could say it's easy for them to say that they have jobs that are much easier to transition to remote work. But there are millions of people, including hundreds of thousands in my city, that can't do that. A Dunkin Donuts worker has to be there to make it. There, I just accomplished the exact same thing, but without implying that someone who works at Dunkin Donuts does so because they're bad academically, which is not only condescending, but also what's the evidence for that? Plenty of people work multiple jobs because they have to. It's no reflection on their intelligence. They could be literally going to grad school in the day and then working night shifts at a fast food restaurant. That happens too. I worked lots of food service jobs in both college and grad school. So who is he to imply that all of these people are somehow lesser than him? And to use that as a way to supposedly argue for their economic benefit, it's needless. It's number one, don't insult your voters, and he's definitely doing that.
All right, so now let's talk about his COVID response, like how he is dealing with COVID in a densely populated place like New York City. He, in that statement, as you guys can probably already figure out, is demanding that remote workers, so these are not businesses that have shut down. These are businesses that can allow for their workers to work remotely. He wants them to go back into the office because he's allegedly concerned about the stability of people working in Dunkin Donuts, in the service industry. I mean, all of these workers depend on the workers who are now working remotely to go into the office so they can go to Dunkin Donuts, pick up some coffee, pick up some donuts and go. But hold on 1 second. If I recall, the Republican Party demanded an end to the more robust coronavirus unemployment benefits because they wanted to make workers desperate financially, so they had no choice to go back to their service industry jobs, correct? And then it ended up that it didn't work. And there are still restaurants, cafes, all sorts of businesses in the service industry, in hospitality and leisure industry, like they still can't find enough workers to fill those jobs. They can't find workers to fill those jobs, okay? Yeah. But Eric Adams would have you believe that we need to force remote workers back into the office to support those businesses and those workers. Do you guys see how it's all bullshit right now? Like that argument is complete and utter bullshit. You guys get that, right? It is bullshit. And like the right wingers on Twitter right now who are defending Eric Adams and perpetuating that lie about how they're so concerned about the janitors, not buying it at all. I think if you have the ability to work remotely, you should be able to work remotely. More importantly, if they're gonna force remote workers to go back into the office, especially during a time when, yes, new coronavirus cases are spiking because of Omicron. I also wanna just be clear that if you're fully vaccinated, you're way less likely to be hospitalized and you're way less likely to die from coronavirus. So get vaccinated, clearly. But they want to force the workers to go. Are they, I don't know, gonna provide support for the families that can't afford childcare? You know, because a lot of moms right now who do have the privilege of working remotely are super grateful that they're able to do so as their children are not in school or in childcare, certainly not in childcare because they can't afford it. So is there any discussion about a safety net? Any discussion about maybe a program to help mothers, you know, pay for childcare? No, there's no discussion about that. Look, you know what's happening? This is the heart of the issue. And I don't want anyone to make a mistake about it. It's not about the janitors who Republican lawmakers never cared about, who Democrats increasingly throughout several decades have not cared about. This is about commercial real estate. This is about the owners of commercial real estate. This is all about that, period. I'm not buying for a second that this is about, but the poor janitors, we're so concerned about the poor janitors. We're so concerned about the workers at Dunkin Donuts. In fact, they were so concerned about the workers at Dunkin Donuts that they cut off unemployment benefits for those very workers to make them so desperate that they had no choice but to go back and work at Dunkin Donuts in the middle of a pandemic. That's how much they care about the poor workers in the service industry.
Yeah.
The very people they have not provided any real support for. I can't with these people.
Well, didn't provide economic support and didn't even provide empathy during, ongoing many months of mass deaths. Like we're supposed to be accepting at face value the comments of people that from the very beginning have denied that this is even real. Yep. They don't care about literally any of this. No. They just want to go back to normal. Lots of people take it seriously and also want to go back to normal. I'll have a conversation with those people. Those people can rationally assess risks, costs. What are the actual things at stake here? Those conservatives cannot, because they've never considered the stakes. They believe, a morass of misinformation in all of this.
I mean, look, I get it. I get that everyone's focusing on his choice of words in his press conference, but how are you not more infuriated with what he's demanding here in terms of the remote workers? And how they're pretending to care about the very service industry workers, the very janitors, the very people who they abandoned and provided almost no support for throughout this pandemic. Come on, I'm so sick of it. I know Eric Adams is new in this mayoral post, but I'm just talking about the general conversation in regard to forcing remote workers to go back into the office. How about this? I got an idea. We have a problem with the lack of affordable housing in this country. How about we take that commercial real estate, maybe we pay out the landlord so they don't whine and bitch about it, obviously, and convert those buildings and that space into, I don't know, affordable housing? Is that a crazy idea? There are ways to reshape the economy in a way that actually does benefit everyone, but they're not interested in that. I love how they're pretending to care about service industry workers and stuff like that, when in reality, they're just worried about landlords. That's all this is.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.